Grow videos do get more views, so to make sure this isn't missed for some of the viewers, I like to include it. Recently noticed some comments about how the content is similar to the Stomp Berries grow we did previously. So to clear that up, this grow was completed at the exact same time in the same location as the Stomp Berries, which is a 3-hour drive each way from where I was living during that time. So we have the same hurdles to overcome since I could only visit this grow one day every weekend. Over the next few days, the Magnana seedlings all popped out of the growing medium. We have the Spider Farmer SE7000 LED grow light about 36 inches away from the tops of the pot and at 20%. Currently, the light cycle is on at 24 hours for this grow. As you can see, we started with 18 seedlings right off the start. It seems 2 of the 18 are slower than the rest, but overall at this point, the remaining 16 all are very symmetrical in size at their growth rate. After about 6 days, I was able to visit the grow again and gave each pot another watering of 60 milliliters of the same Clonex clone solution mix, with the same technique of 30 milliliters in the center and 30 milliliters around the perimeter of each pot. I did notice one of the seedlings having 3 leaves compared to the usual 2 that all the other plants have. You'll notice as this grow continues, that plant kept growing 3 leaves at each node site throughout its entire life cycle, which was cool to see. Our environment at this point was definitely less than ideal, but given the location and situation, this will show you everything doesn't need to be perfect to still pull off a decent harvest. So don't get discouraged if you're just starting out growing. During this point of the grow, from day 1 to 12, we had an average of it being 60 degrees Fahrenheit and 42% relative humidity. This is because no one lives at the house where this grow was being done. So during the week, the temps dropped to save on energy, along with this grow being completed in the middle of winter. Because this is a temporary location to get the content filmed and plants pheno hunted, I didn't have any control on the temps and humidity inside the house. The 6-inch inline fan with thermostat controller was the only item helping us throughout this grow to keep the environment somewhat in check. We will be narrowing down the plant count to the best 14 seedlings to continue for the remainder of the grow. Please keep in mind this is a pheno hunt to find the best single plant, so the time frame and processes are done slightly different for this grow compared to other grows because we aren't concerned with the highest yield from this tent. It is more to see how the strain reacts to less than ideal situations, along with which pheno is the strongest overall. We are now at day 14 from seed, and I had some time to transplant the Magnana seedlings into their final pot size, which is 1 gallon in size, and filled it with a similar peat-based growing medium to the Promix HP we used to start them off. The seedlings could have stayed in the small pots for 1 more week, but this would have been pretty risky since the growing medium would have dried out midweek, leaving the plants underwater, which we were already on a very fine line of happening. During the transplanting, I also reviewed the environmental data collected by the Pulse One Grow Room monitor and noticed just how cold it was along with the low humidity at that time. So since we are going to have the plants on the ground after the transplant, which made them much farther away from the light, we are able to turn the power up on the light, which helped generate more heat inside the tent. This issue is very rare as most of you are in much hotter climates than me, so keep that in mind when watching this video. I'll leave a link in the video description to an interactive chart from Pulse which allows you to see all the environmental conditions that went on in this grow tent for the entire vegetative stage. So be sure to check that out. Giving you access to this is very valuable so you can see just how little control we had over the environment and the less than ideal environment, which still still allow the plants to perform overall. Now that the 15 seedlings have been transplanted into the 1-gallon pots, we needed to rehydrate the growing medium, which we used the same Clonex clone solution, but at a ratio of 8 milliliters per liter of water. Then we gave each pot 70 milliliters of that mix. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll already know that this grow was completed several months ago, but because I like to cover a large time frame in each of these YouTube videos, we have to wait for the grow to be completely finished to release the videos. So each grow is posted together to keep things organized on this channel nicely. So with that being said, I've also started a Patreon page where I post weekly update videos of the current real-time grows going on, where I answer specific questions or go into more detail about what you guys might want to see in those videos and when you're a part of the Patreon. I also do monthly giveaways on there for all the members, where every month there's a new item being given away. Being a part of the Patreon membership will also help this channel by allowing me to eventually take this full time, so I can spend more time in the garden creating more quality content for all of you to enjoy on several different platforms. Currently, I do this in my spare time outside of my normal routine, which sometimes makes things very difficult to stay on top of things and on a perfect routine. Being that my full-time job takes up a very large portion of my time that I could devote to making more content. Links to the Patreon will be in the video description below if you like to show extra support and be more involved in these grows. This time lapse shows day 14 to day 21 from seed. We'll still need to remove one more plant as we only want 14 going into flower. With the Nano plants getting bigger, we will need to automate the watering system very soon, as trying to make it a full week with a single watering will be near to impossible in these 1-gallon pots. Not to mention, it slows the growth of the plants considerably, going from underwatering at the end of each week. Since we were able to raise the power level on the Spider Farmer SC7000 Lite, and with more growing medium volume inside the tent, we were able to create a little bit better environmental conditions inside the 4x4 grow tent. The first week after transplant, we were able to raise the temperature from 60 degrees Fahrenheit to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which is much closer to the ideal temp of 80 degrees Fahrenheit at this point. As for the relative humidity, we got it from 42% to 65%, which is a much better situation overall. With the better growing environment, it meant that the plants will be uptaking a lot more water and growing faster. So the automated watering system is needed at this point. A list of parts to make this system will be in the video description below with links if you want to build yourself a system just like this one. We're using fittings from Netafim along with the water line. Pushing the tubing onto the fitting can be a little bit difficult, but rocking the tubing from side to side while pushing it on slowly gets the fitting fully seated inside the tube. This system is as simple as it gets when it comes to automated watering. You put a 90-degree elbow in each of the corners of the tent, which forms a loop around the perimeter inside the tent. I like to zip tie the fittings to the tent poles to keep everything in place while working inside the tent. Keep in mind where your water reservoir will be located outside of your tent, and the location of any of the openings that are located on your tent walls at the bottom. You'll need somewhere to place two 90-degree elbows to feed the two tubes through to reach to your reservoir. With the loop completed inside the tent, we can start punching holes into the tubing for our drip emitters. Just be careful